Switching gears, Boeing. This is wow. This is like straight out of a movie, huh?
Yeah.
What the hell, man?
Rest in peace to the gentleman that lost his life, the whistleblower. He used to work there. The crazy part about all the stuff that Boeing is going through, like Boeing used to be a engineering dream to work at. Then they merged, and then the company kind of went to shit. And it's two groups of people like that work there. One from the old guard that believe they were like the Apple of the plane world. They were like the most innovative company at one point. And once that merger happened, they began to cut costs and cut corners, and the quality has went away. And when this gentleman started testifying, I mean, a good note is like if you are competing against somebody and their lawyers or somebody from corporate tells you to stay another day, it's usually not in your best interest.
All right. So let's switch gears. Let's talk about Boeing. This is a very interesting and crazy story. I'll just like give a high level overview of it. So okay. John Barnett, he was scheduled to testify. So he was the whistleblower, right? As far as with Boeing. And he was forced to retire, they said, like 10 years early. He was 62 years old. And he was scheduled to, he said he was blackballed from promotions, had harassment at the workplace, suffered PTSD and panic attacks, and all because he was, he kind of blew the whistle on faulty issues that were going on at Boeing, right? And he was supposed to go to court the other day on March 9th, I believe. And when he didn't show up to court, his lawyers,
reached out to him.
Long story short, they found him in a Holiday Inn. This is the night before he was supposed to testify. They found him in the night in a Holiday Inn parking lot, I believe, in his Dodge Ram truck, shot in the head. What they're saying is a self-inflicted wound. So they're saying that he killed himself. They said that there was a white piece of paper, a note with something on it, I guess like a suicide note is what they're saying. They haven't actually released what he said. But now what's interesting is that aside from the fact that it was the night before he was supposed to testify, they said that he was, quote, he was in a good mood the evening before, so looking forward to testifying on Saturday.
And he said in video, if anything happened to me, it wasn't suicide.
It's one of these things, bro. Yeah. What do you think about this situation?
If we're gonna be very honest, man, if rappers are willing to die over blocks they don't own, this is the other side of corporate that people don't get to see. He isn't the first one. God rest his soul, bless his family. I hope you guys get justice. But Boeing, I don't know if you were up watching a murder mystery at USA, but this is like the most obvious case of foul play we've seen. Like this happened to Gary Webb back in the day, but at least when it happened to him, they tried to make it seem like
allegedly.
It was allegedly. But the thing with Boeing is like as a company, they lost their way after the merger happened. So for those who don't know, at one point Boeing was like the Apple of their day when it came to plane innovation, like making the 737, the 747. In the 60s, they were the darling tech company, if you will, of its day. And then when they merged, the company began to cut corners and try and save costs. Like even the Indonesia flight, because of a faulty error in the tracking sensor on the front of the plane, caused that plane to nosedive. So, and opposed to putting the money into innovation, research and development to make the planes better, they've initiated a hell of a stock buyback program for the longest time. And hearing some of this information over the years is one of the reasons why I'm like, you can't put your investment into companies that are backed by engines and planes. Like they made a hard left turn to go away from an engineering heaven to then try and cut costs. Like at one point they moved the headquarters from Washington to Chicago, but the manufacturing was done in Washington. That makes no sense. Like you need to be close to where the actual product is made. And I think this is one of the greatest examples of when corporate greed takes over. And now I mean, Kenny talked about it last week. He went crazy on Diddy, but like when you don't want the truth to be revealed about what you're doing, you will go to some lengths that you don't need to go to try and save an empire that's going to fall anyway. Yeah, so bless this gentleman for trying to, and even with me, like I fly United, most of their planes are Boeing. That's affected how much I wanted to travel as a result. I was tough on the CEO of Kellogg's about telling people to eat cereal. But I think the entire fucking board of Boeing needs to step down. If you've been manufacturing, trying to save costs and putting people's lives in danger, how are you still publicly traded? Like there should be a halt on the stock until the entire management changes or the government buys it outright. But bless his brother's soul. God rest his soul. Prayers to his family. But for those of you who don't know, there is a dark side of corporate that you don't see. And this is one of the cases that happen. I mean, it's happened with people in the automotive industry that have powered cars to go off water and hydrogen. And then they end up in a ravine. And then the patent gets taken and absorbed by a bigger automotive company. So when you are blowing the whistle or telling the truth, it comes at a price.
Oh, pause. Blowing the whistle is crazy.
Oh, that's crazy. My bad.
That's wild. But I mean, it's one of these things. If you blowing the whistle, it comes out of cost. That's crazy. But
I'll be free, you know what I mean? That's y'all be tricking off. Hey, gotta get off your swag, not off the bag, you know what I mean? Trick Daddy. It's only one Trick Daddy in Miami. A lot of y'all be doing too much.
Too much.
Ooh, and y'all be paying to go to Poppy Steak and still not getting the job done. Oh my God.
It's one of these things where you bring up Gary Webb, and if you're not familiar with him, he's the gentleman that broke the story on Freeway Ricky Ross and the Contras and the Iran-Contra scandal with Nicaragua, where pretty much the U.S. government funded drugs from the rebels in Nicaragua to come to America, to the inner city of LA and the West Coast, and it spread all over. And the reason why they did that was because they wanted to, there's a whole thing with overthrow the government. They thought the government was communist. So that was their way of kind of funding the rebels to fight them. And then they were sending money to Iran to fight the government in Iran to try to overthrow them. But he wrote a whole expose on this. Yep. And he won awards. They actually ended up making a movie and wrote a book, and then he ended up killing himself, allegedly.
Yeah.
So this is one of these things, right? Where a guy, because the Boeing, remember, that's the plane where the door just blew off a couple weeks ago, right?
Yes.
So he was about to testify about how they have so many issues when it comes to safety and how they've been ignoring it and how they've, turned a black eye. He already got blackballed, he said, for years, and they made him retire early. So this was his opportunity to actually speak his mind, talk freely to the world about the issues. And miraculously, the night before he's about to testify, he ends up with a bullet in his head.
Allegedly, after the lawyers just tell him to stay another day. But meanwhile, everyone in Senate is arguing about TikTok. CCP hasn't put anyone's lives in jeopardy. I know the propaganda and they want to steal our data. Let's be honest. When all these breaches happen, these companies are selling that data. Allegedly.
Allegedly. Word of the day.
Revenues down. Hey, India, you want all of our user data?
Word of the day is allegedly.
Like, come on, man.
Word of the day is allegedly. Yeah, but
it's heartbreaking, man. Truth comes at a cost, though.
For sure, man. It's one of these things where it's like, a lot of the time people think, oh, it's just a conspiracy, or it's like, all right, well, business is, when you're dealing with billions of dollars,
listen,
be mindful.
Be mindful. But some people will go to war for 2,000-3,000 and then BMF days 17.5 to get something done, but it's billions of dollars on the line, and they cared so much about the stock price over the last 10 or 15 years with the buyback program. Like, that was more of a focus than the actual safety and innovation on the planes. Like, the airline industry at some point needs a huge reform, needs better leadership, and I hope this will shine a light on a lot of the issues that have been going on. And also too, the wait times like between when a plane lands and takes back off, they can barely clean the plane. Also on the fundamental side, like they did the report, the investigative report, I'm sure you saw it. They asked the people who put the planes together, would you fly on here? One guy said, yeah, but I have a death wish, so I probably would.
I have a death wish?
Yeah, he said, I have a death wish, so I probably would. One guy said, fuck no. So if the people who work there are not excited or fanatical or wouldn't use the product, that is telling you a lot.